Okay, good day to you, me, Andy, and Talkin. Ready? I'm going to talk about UBI, Universal Basic Income. This is what's been bandied around. They're doing trials. They've started the trial in the UK. It's only a very small number of people, but they're giving each person £1,600 a month. That's £1,600 a month. It's quite good. It's a good idea in the long term. However, all good ideas come with problems, and it's the idea that they're going to give you free money. Where does that money come from? Also, what do you have to do for it? Because, believe you me, they're not going to give you money for nothing. They're going to expect you to do stuff. They're going to have to abide by whatever rule they come up with to qualify, because once you're hooked on this money, say for example, you stop working because you've got this money coming in, you don't have to work anymore. So the problem is that, you know, it's all well and good, you've got this money coming in, 1,600 quid, so you give up your working because you don't have to, and it's not a requirement. You know, although you can work if you wish to, supplement your income with whatever you earn, obviously tax applicable. The idea is that, you know, what you have to do for that. Are you going to be able to carry on doing whatever they ask you to do when the trial finishes? Because no doubt when the trial finishes and these people are said, you know, they give feedback and they give positive feedback on this, and the whole thing continues. What are you going to be able to do if they tell you that in order to get this money that you've relied on for a year, 2 years, you have to do certain things. You have to achieve certain goals. I.e., I'm thinking about some medical interventions in particular, that if you don't follow those guidelines, then you don't get any money, is how I see it coming. Now, I said at the very beginning that UBI is probably a good idea because it does bring people out of poverty. You know, you're giving them a basic income, and that would determine on where that comes from. Obviously, we don't know how they're going to fund it. But also how much they're going to give, because a lot of these various schemes, they give various amounts. I know it's been piloted around the world. However, in all of the countries around the world, there's only actually one that's listed as being fully implemented. So the idea here is that all the countries in green have the full UBI, and as you can see, there is only one. So that one there is Iran, and it's a subsidy reform plan. Government issued a small monthly grant to roughly 90% of the population. However, the plan was never implemented as originally intended and was eventually scrapped. As of 2021, a number of economists has begun to call for the plan's reinstatement. So obviously they tested it, they found out it wasn't any good, and they scrapped it. But now, because of the global agenda, they want to bring it back. But as you can see from all of these colours, like for example the orange, which would include Australia, India, China. See, China, that's something that I would have thought that they would have had it, because they've got social credits, unless they've incorporated it in that, because basically it's a social service model that provides all citizens a small monthly amount which they can use regardless of their employment or income or any other qualifying factors. It aims to reduce poverty and increase the quality of life. But for China, they've already got social credit, so you can't travel if your social credit score is too low. So they're already way ahead of everywhere else. So that's the orange ones. They're talking about it, and you can see there the pilot schemes is obviously America, Canada, and what's that one there? Finland, the UK, India, Namibia, and also Kenya. So Kenya test program give monthly grants of approximately a quarter to half of the average income. It's scheduled to run until the end of 2030, which is obviously when they want to bring in this whole net zero scheme. And you notice there that Russia, or including Lithuania, as they've called it, but that's actually Russia, has nothing. There is no social credit. There is no UBI. And the one in purple, we can see, which is Brazil. They had a program from 2004, which gave roughly 26% of the population a monthly payment in equivalent to just under a fifth of the minimum wage. So whatever that is in Brazil. And of course, surveys have shown that the income is spent on food, school supplies, clothing and shoes. Now, a second project was funded in 2008. It gives a very small stipend, roughly 5% of minimum salary, but has been cited as improving nutrition, living conditions, housing, health, especially in children. And finally, there's another one there using a legitimate UBI program that splits 6% of the city tax revenue amongst the residents who have lived there for more than 5 years. So, all in all, very good systems of helping the less well off. However, let's have a look. So the tweet out from Eric Dunn, tweeting out this LBC interview, is of course Nick Ferrari. So have a look at the video and we'll come back in a moment.
What are the indicators you'll be looking at, you and your colleagues will be looking at the end of it, Jack? How will you gauge whether it's been a success?
So it'll be quite a wide range of factors. So on the one hand, we'll be interested in things like employment, to see and people's
Well, you
sense
can't
of
get a
financial...
job, can you?
Pardon?
I thought you're not allowed to take a job for those 2 years, are you?
No, of course you're. Yeah, you're allowed to work. So we're really interested in the effects that this will have on employment. So we've seen.
So you'll get your 1,600 quid and you can bank a salary as well.
Yeah, so we're really interested in the effects on employment. So, for instance, we've seen in some of the pilots that have taken place in Finland, where there was experimentation of UBI, employment actually increased slightly for those who were in receipt of a payment. And similarly in Stockton in California, where we've had experimentation, people who've received basic income, they're in better, more stable work after it, as well as seeing more improvements in their physical and mental health. So that would be one of the factors. Like I said, physical and mental health, we want to see how that was affected by this and so on.
How would that be funded?
I mean, there's plenty of research already that puts forward different options for funding. So, for instance, the think tank Compass has already modelled one form of more modest basic income, which could actually be rolled out at net zero cost, but would still see poverty drastically shrink. Yeah, that's one of the effects we've seen in lots of these trials. Is poverty is drastically shrunk.
Jack, of course poverty will shrink because you're giving people 20 grand a year.
In this pilot, that would be the sum that goes forward. There are lots of different models for basic income at different levels that have been put forward, but look, this is huge. This, I think the other side of that is poverty would shrink. We could eliminate poverty.
Well, of
with that
course it
basic
will,
income at
because
this
you'll pay,
level.
of course, but someone on the only way it would be funded would an increase in taxation. I would have thought you're not going to be able to get charity to fund it for everybody. I appreciate for your project and good luck to you, and I hope all the necessary funding comes forward. But to roll this out across the country, yeah, of course you'll end poverty, because who is ever in work will be paying taxes the like of which no one's ever seen before.
Well, there are plenty of different models have already been put forward for this. Not all of them would be particularly extreme tax rates, but you suggested that. There are lots of different models for funding this. That's not the focus report. That's not what we've been doing. But we think, what we want to do and what we really want to focus on is to see what happens at this local level amongst these people. There's been really exciting experimentation around the world, the US, Finland. It's really important the UK takes part. Takes part in these experiments, takes part in these trials, so we can see what the effects might be here. So make sure that we don't lose out on the forms of welfare system which might be better fit for those forms of crisis we're going to face.
So again, as you can see from the video, they've got no idea how they're going to fund it, and they're not really worried about how they're going to fund it, because they want to hook you on this bandwagon. They want to get you hooked on this money, which obviously 1,600 quid is a hell of a lot of money to have per month, on top of everything else that you get. Now, whether that includes the fact that you won't get your benefit, I don't know, but you can work. So if you're already working and you have a good job, you're going to get another free £1,600 per month. 20 grand a year extra. It's just ludicrous they're going to do it this way. Now, I can see that the idea of UBI, the idea behind it all, is very noble, very gratifying, but I'm sorry, but we have to look at the implications and the expectations of this system. They're expecting you to do stuff, but they haven't specified what they're expecting you to do. It's very, very dangerous stuff, because it is taken as it is. You have a lot of questions, there's a lot of uncertainty, and also a lot of risk, because once you're hooked on this, there's no going back. And if they withdraw the idea that you get money and you don't have to do anything, then you are the one that's going to be suffering in the end, and it's no good trying to change it. It's the same way that if you're on legacy benefits and you are persuaded to change to universal credit, for example, there's no going back to legacy benefits. Once you've done it, that is it. And if suddenly they decided that you have to have 5 dozen, treatments or whatever, or you have to go to a job centre every week in order to get this money, even though now they're saying you don't have to, we all know that they are liars and that they can change their mind. So beware. What's the basic idea, the actual underlying reasons for it, in an ideal world, is absolutely marvellous. We're helping a lot of people in poverty and with no money, and maybe they're homeless as well. They could be able to get some money, be able to afford to get a flat, for example, or rent somewhere. So they would not be homeless anymore. So again, it's a very good system. However, the way that it's being done and implemented, and people are not told the truth from the beginning, I can see that this is going to be a complete failure. At the very least, it's going to make people very, very scared about losing their income. Right, if you have any comments down below, then please do leave it. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Have a good day.